So what we're going to do today, we are testing some changes. First change, Teemo got a buff to his ult. The ult's damage is going up by 5% AP. The range on the place in the other game is going up by 200 units. And the mana cost in the late game is going down by 40 from 75 to 35. In addition to that, his mana per level, I think, is going up. And those are the changes for Teemo. And then in addition to that, I'm going to be running the new Red Smite, who's also gotten a nerf. Its damage reduction has gone down from 20% to 10%, but I'm going to still run it on Teemo because Teemo's damage comes from his auto attacks, and I'll be able to utilize the Red Smite very effectively. I remember. So unlike other Teemos, you'll see that other Teemos would normally build Leandries or Riftmaker. I used to build Riftmaker when I just started out, but I have switched from Riftmaker to or Rocket Bolt. And the reasoning for that is that the items, or at least the AP items, are very straightforward. Firstly, Riftmaker is both our healing and our anti-tank. Riftmaker is very useful for AP marksman type build because it both fills the roles for Immortal Shieldbow and for Kraken Slayer in the damage that you do. Then the other item, Rocket Bolts, and Rocket Bolt is very useful because it is a pseudo Gale Force. And I believe that the Gale Force, the AP Gale Force, is much better than having the AP heal / anti-tank item because it's got about a third of the cooldown as Gale Force has, so it allows me to reposition more often. And in a lot of games where I need the mobility because I only have my W, but that's movement speed, so I can't really dodge out because I have no dashes. The Gale Force is much better. Okay, so this is gonna turn into a remake, which is really good. Now I can get a full game for you guys. One other thing that I do on Teemo that a lot of other people don't really do. A lot of other people take the PTA on Teemo. I take the lethal tempo. I'm not going for the burst damage or early game assassinations in lane or something like that. That's not why I take. I often look for the late game hype skill carry, bringing the consistent magic damage and being a ADC for my team where my ADC can't be. So I do take the lethal tempo, and the lethal tempo is really good. It allows me to pump out a lot of early attacks and a lot of damage with my on hit when I don't have my items set up. And then in addition to that, it gives me the extra range that allows me to kite some of the harder melee a lot better. My jungle clear on Teemo is very simple. When I am not invading, then I would go for a standard 4 to 5 cam clear depending on the game. I would start at blue buff, normally taking Q as my first ability for a healthier clear, and then go from blue to Gromp to Wolves to red, and then either to Krugs or gank before I do the Scuttle Carab. In the case where I invade, my invades would always be against enemies on the top side where the top and jungle have either high auto attackers or a weak early. I would opt for a split map and try and funnel my top laner as much as possible with Herald objectives and turret gold. Hopefully a first turret so that they can keep tempo for me. But in that case, I would go for a red into Krugs, and then I would finish off into a top lane gank most of the time, because it's either very easy for me to get the top laner's flash with this flank that they don't expect, or a kill. After that, I would go and clear my blue side, going into a blue, then a Gromp, a Wolves, and then probably a topside Scuttle. When I do a split map or an invade like this, I will have to always keep track of the enemy jungler and maybe even ping my top laner to play safe, because if they don't know that I invaded them, then they will be prone to ganking my top laner, and I would have to either hover or make sure they know that the enemy jungle is probably on their way, so I don't lose a kill in the top lane that I just got ahead. And that's going to be down until 8 minutes.
Reporting in.
It's my W, this is going to be really good. Cool. And my top laner survives, that's really good. Teemo's got a unique ganking style in which he would utilize his passive to find pockets of vision in the opponent's warding and go invisible. This is a main strategy when trying to attack mid lanes uh, and shoving side lanes, where you can sit and they'll actually pass you in the lane, but because you're invisible, they won't know you're there. It's and quite often difficult to pull off because it will take cooperation from your laner as well as um, yourself. The enemy lane is pushed in, and you're in the correct place, but you haven't been discovered, and you haven't wasted your time with the attempted gank, I would say. Other junglers don't really have this style of play, even other junglers where they manipulate the visions like Evelyn, Twitch, and Shaco can't really sit and set up beforehand. They're still trying to flank actively while by running in while invisible. Fiddlesticks with his passive fear will still look for those pockets of vision, but they can't just take those very awkward angles from inside the lane and inside the enemy wave to gank an opponent. This really makes Teemo unique as a jungler. It's quite effective when you know how to pull it off, but it's very different to anyone else that you could imagine being a jungler. Bye!
I'll scout ahead.
Okay, time for some rapid fire. Firstly, you max Teemo in the order E, W, Q, not E, Q, W. Second, Teemo's greatest counters in the jungle are casters, the people who cast for their damage instead of auto attack, as you cannot blind them. Number 3, Teemo's blind can block auto attacks and enhanced auto attacks, but cannot block auto attack based abilities. So while Teemo can block Udia's stances and Volibear's Q, Teemo cannot block Volibear's W and Irelia Qs. Prior to patch 12.14, thanks to the dragon changes, Teemo could clear a Drake at level 6 solo, as long as he has Smite and at least 2 Shroom charges. Hold your blind while chasing opponents near plants, as you could disable the ability for them to take the Blast Cone over the walls. When blinding champions such as Zuri and Graves, it's not a true blind in which their projectiles deal 0 damage to you, but instead it is a pseudo blind in which their projectiles are ejected at random angles outward, which means that even though a Zuri or a Graves may be blinded, their auto attacks can still hit you. Teemo's E cannot proc ability effects, so things like Riley's Crystal Scepter Slow, Demonic Embrace's Burn, and Leandri's Anguish's Burn will not proc when you auto attack enemies. However, when you Q and R, that will proc the Burn and Slow. While in stealth, Teemo can be revealed by a Scryer's Bloom, and it will show you that you're being revealed with the symbol above your head. However, while revealed by a turret, it will not show you that you have been revealed. A lot of champions have the ability to give vision of area, reveal enemies, and reveal stealthed enemies. It's very important that you learn the difference between those types, because not all enemies have the true sight reveal, and only those enemies can reveal you while in your passive. Think of Teemo's Shrooms as a built-in ward. It gives slightly less vision, however enough to be useful. It reveals enemies that step on it, and it slows them. In addition to that, it lasts 5 minutes. So when you're done with one objective, you can go around and ward, and it will be there when you come back for the next one. And lastly, Spirit Blossom Teemo is the best Teemo skin. Fight me. Let's go, that was so good. What's Shin doing mid? No, you don't. I'm still good here. Jin's just dead. Jin's just straight up dead. I'm back to full HP again. Thank you, Triumph. Well, that's it for me. That is my shitload guide to Teemo Jungle. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll see you later. Cheers. Dead. Without even any retaliation. understand that you are still an ADC, so people will still one-shot you. That's it.